What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Patio. My name's Jake. You're watching Rum and Cook. If you've been here before, you're probably scratching your head wondering, hey, what's changed? Don't worry, my good looks, they're still the same. We have a little bit of a different background. Reason for that really is we're doing a deep clean on the Yoder pellet grill today. I want to have it close to the edge of my patio so I can wash off the water and stuff off the patio. So we flipped it around 180. This is actually part one of a two-part video. When we're done doing that deep clean, we're going to talk about seasoning and we're going to go through that process. So if that interests you, Yoder pellet grills in general interests you, subscribe now or forever be wondering what happens next. Let's get on with it. We've got a couple different things. We're going to start on the inside and work our way to the outside. But I want to give you kind of an overview of the process. If you saw my thumbnail, we've got a toilet brush. Don't worry, it's clean. It's a brand new head. So we're going to use this to clean out the chimney here. We've got my good friend Zepp. This stuff I've talked about a bunch of times. Zepp 505 degreaser. This stuff is amazing. There'll be a link down below for it. Definitely the best degreaser that I've come across. I use it on all my grills. Today we're using this Traeger cleaner. I actually have it left over from when I owned a Traeger. Clearly I haven't used very much of it, but this is a natural cleaner, so it's nice. I can wash it outside. What you want is you want any citrus-based cleaner to do the outside of this. That way it's a nice safe way. It's not going to hurt the paint or anything. We got our other friend Sheila Shine, and this is a stainless steel cleaner. Right, so you got to degrease it, and this will clean it. But the most important part of this is it's going to leave a nice shine on it, and it's got an oil to protect your stainless steel. So it really looks good when it's done. That's a product that if you've got anything stainless steel, appliances, anything like that, pick yourself up some of that. I'll put a link below. It works amazing because it leaves a nice oil and protects the finish. So I use it all the time. And we got some gloves. We've got a wired brush. And of course we got a shop vac because we've got a vacuum with some pellets. Dust here. Now, this has been waiting for a long time. This is a lot dirtier than I would normally allow it to get. But you know, if you've watched some of my other videos, one of the things that I do like about the Yoder is that it has a pellet cage there. So what happens is every time I want to use this, I don't break out the vacuum. I literally open up the door, I dump the pellet dust in the bottom, I fire it up and I go. Now it's been a couple months, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff, pellet ash on the bottom of this, so we're going to vacuum all that up. And then, you know, we've got some gloves, we've got some microfiber rags. These I get from the rag company. You can Google them. I use them for my cars. I've got all different colors depending on what chemical I'm going to use with them. But I've got some dark ones here. These are my barbecue ones or my navy blue ones. But let's get into it. Let's get our rum and coke out of the way so we don't get any dirt into it. That would be unfortunate. So when we look at here, I've got the half rack in right now. The one thing about this chimney, this does come off right, and I'm never going to be able to show you inside of this, but this has got a whole bunch of this flaky stuff. You can see in here we've got some flaky stuff there too. We're going to take all that off, but in here we're just going to give this a clean out as well. So I'm going to dump everything inside since I got to break out the vacuum anyhow. I'm going to try not to get too dirty, and I'm already sweating. It's almost 90 degrees outside, so I'm sure by the end of this video I'm going to be a hot mess. And I know the next question you're wondering is, Jake, if it's almost 90 degrees outside, why is there patio heaters behind you? Well, the truth behind the matter is that they have a stone end table attached to them, and it's perfect for holding my rum and coke. So when we're around the fire, I need something to hold my drink. My wife likes to have her martinis or whatever she has, so we have those for now. Anyhow, let's get this a little cleaned out. Right away we're taking out all kinds of stuff here. It's actually the perfect size for this. Just like that, we're clean. Now right now I got the half rack in. This guy comes with a full rack. I primarily always have the half rack in just because I like to have access in the bottom. I'm just going to give this a quick little scrub. And as we talked a little bit about, let me bring it in a little closer. As you can see here, there's some flaky stuff here, right? We want to take all this stuff off. This will build up over time. This guy's over 1.5 years old, maybe, let me think about this, probably 21 months old or whatever, and I have not done this, and I have about 200 cooks on it now, just to give you an idea. So it doesn't build up super quick, but we're gonna take this off. We wanna start with a good base surface before we season. Now the great thing about using a toilet brush is it's got a rounded head so I can get in the corners. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of dust coming off this. Try not to breathe all that in, and definitely don't do this on a windy day because you'll be eating a lot of soot. And once you've got your lid done, let's do the inside, get that all nice and clean. Now be careful on the left side here, you've got the thermocoupler here. I'm going to bring you in here and talk a little bit about that in a second here. If you don't like using a wire bristle because you're worried about the bristles falling off, this is a really short one. I don't really have any problems like that with this one, but you can use a plastic bristle or whatever. Pretty good there. Let's give the grates a scrub. Now, if you want your grates to look absolutely brand new, spotless, I've talked about PBW before. I actually meant to stick these in last night and totally forgot. But you can put them in that overnight. I'll put a link in it below. 24 hours and it'll take everything off, and it's biodegradable, so it's nice. You can just dump it anywhere and it'll strip off everything just like it was oven cleaner. So you can do that piece. Let's get these guys out of here. Now, if you've seen my other cleaning video or you watched my 1-year review on the Yoder, you're gonna know that I like to use foil to line this whole area. It helps keep it clean, and that way I can just wrap up the foil, get rid of everything, change the foil. I've changed that method a little bit, and the real reason for that is that if you don't let this get some oil on it, it will rust. So the quick answer is to either do a couple fatty cooks. I did some ribs last week, 2 weeks ago now, and let all that grease drip in here and a couple other greasy things. That's going to let our diffuser plate get coated in oil. The other thing that we're going to do is in the next video, I'm going to coat this with oil. And what I recommend is you can use aluminum foil just every 4, 5, 6 cooks, spray it with some oil or do a couple cooks without it, and that'll just let it not rust. Really, like if you look at the top rack, it's got no rust in it. I did leave it outside one night by mistake and it got rusty. A couple cooks on it, spray some oil on it, it's good. And I actually called Yoder to ask about the aluminum foil thing, want to get their opinion on it. You know, they were basically, they were fine with it, but they were the ones that said, hey, you know, at least every 4 to 6 cooks, spray it down with a PAM and season a little bit, and that'll just help with your rust issue. So I've done a bunch of cooks without it, just to kind of build some seasoning on it. Let's dump this out. Before we take out the diffuser plate, let me bring you in. I'm going to take a look at the thermocoupler, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Now, right in here, hopefully it comes across the camera okay. This is your thermocoupler, right? This is how the pit knows how to adjust your temperature. Now, if you notice right now, it's got a dull black finish on it. If you use a lot of sugary barbecue sauces or rubs, and that sugar gets in the air, this will start to get shiny. Now, at a dull stage, if you've ever noticed that your cooks are taking longer than you think they should, when this is black with a dull stage, the temperature, the pit thinks that it's hotter, right? Because the black attracts heat, and when it's shiny, it even throws it off more. So what you want to do is you want to clean this off from time to time. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just got, you know, a non-aggressive sponge here. You could probably use a little bit of steel wool. And now you can see that we're nice and clean, and that'll help make sure that our pit gets the best input temperature-wise and controls our temperature properly. Now, as you can see, this is from all our scraping, so just to make it easier, we're going to vacuum that up real quick, and then we're going to remove the diffuser plate and get on the next steps. The one thing I'm going to show you in an upcoming video is if you're concerned about your pit not having the proper temperatures, even if after you've cleaned it and everything looks good, I'm going to show you how to go through Yoder's test, and you've got to run it for a minimum of a couple hours, put the pit probes in certain positions. We're going to go over that whole process for you, and then you can email Yoder support and they'll look at it and see if there's any adjustments needed. Let's get this vacuumed up. And now let's get our plate out. And now that we're inside, this is what I was talking about. This is my routine, right? You've got the diffuser door, you open that up, dump that out, put your plate back in, and away you go cooking. And as you can see, there is a ton of dust in here. All right, pellet ash. So we're gonna take all of that, clean that up now. Like I said, I never get it this bad, but I knew I was filming this video eventually, so I let it get a little worse than I normally would. So now that you've got this all cleaned, this is a great time to inspect your pit. If you look around these edges here, all the seams, all across, there's a bead of high temp silicone. that runs around it. You just want to make sure that it hasn't peeled back or you've got any silicone that's actually just peeled away. That's just high temp silicone, so if you've got any issues, perfect time just to treat that real quick. I definitely don't have any at this point in time, so we're not going to worry about that. While I have you, lots of people ask me about the damper. Now on the 480 you don't have a damper, on the 640 you do, and the premise of this is if it's in the middle, the pit's going to have some even temperature. If I move it over here, this is going to be a hotter side, this is going to be a cooler side. You can use this when you're doing some searing, and then pull it over here, and this will be a hotter side. You know, unless you've got the optional pit probes, or you've put some digital pit probes in here, or you've put some in the lid, the thermometers you can get, you're really not going to know where the temperature is. I just do it by eye when I'm cooking, but you can get the pit probes, put them in your lid, and then you can tell exactly where your pit is. For me personally, 99.9% of the time, this is in the middle. I never move it around. I've never had any problems. The first time I did a sear, I did move it over here, but since then I've learned that this guy, you know, it says it goes up to 600 degrees, but when you pull that door and put some grill grates on there, it's just pumping in a ton of pellets, and I've seen it go over 750 no problem. So I don't really see a need to put that over there. I've talked about chicken a lot. One of my go-tos during the week, I'll set this at 450, 475, some marinated chicken breasts, and put them on this side with this in the middle, and still, you know, 12 minutes aside, they've got some great char on the outside. So totally optional. I mean, I wouldn't concern yourself about it too much. I leave it in the middle and haven't had any problems. So as you can see, covered in dirt, this is not the time to wear your good motivational t-shirts, right? Wear something you don't care about. You're gonna get dirty, you're gonna get sweaty. Luckily, like I said, I haven't done this for 2 months. You don't have to do this a ton, and you don't have to do it every time to this extreme. Really all you're concerned about is getting in there maybe once a month and just pulling out that plate and just vacuum out all the pellet ash. Totally up to you. Now that we've done the inside, let's look a little bit about the outside. I'm actually going to get washed up real quick and clean my glasses, and then we'll get right into it. All right, so as it sits right now, we're in pretty good shape. We're going to do the trays last. We want to get the outside done. So we're going to get some of our Traeger All Natural Cleaner, and again, I just happen to have this from when I owned my Traeger, but you can use any citrus cleaner and just give this a little bit of a spray. Get yourself a cloth, and you want it to be citrus based, and wipe this off. I'm going to pull my tray off here. And for those of you who are not aware, this is the normal wire rack, and you just buy the stainless steel tray over top of it. While I'm here, I want to talk to you a little bit about rust. First off, you can see a fair amount of bubbling and some rust on this ledge. Some rust is coming through the surface. If you haven't figured out by now, I'm a little bit anal when it comes to my grills and my cars. I like them clean, right? So my grills are cleaned, they're covered. This guy, in fact, has only ever seen rain once, and that was when I was doing the pellet burning video, and it was minus 28 or whatever, and we got hit with freezing rain, and it did get covered in some ice during that cook. But outside of that, this guy's never seen rain. And to the point where I actually, when I'm done cooking, I let it cool down for a few hours, and before I take my dog out at night, I cover it back up. I don't even like condensation to sit on it overnight. Just how I am, I'm a little bit over the top when it comes to keeping things clean and whatnot. So this guy has a little bit of extra rust on it, more than a little bit. And what I did is I sent an email into info@Yoder, asked them a whole bunch of questions. And really what I was trying to do is, I'm sharing knowledge with you guys. I want to make sure that I'm sharing accurate information. So I had a bunch of questions. Some of them were topics for upcoming videos and things like that. But one of the things we talked a little bit about is rust. And I ended up having a phone call with someone. They were nice enough to answer all my questions, but said, listen, like, let's go over some of your questions in more detail. It's just easier than writing you a 20-page email. So I had about an hour and a half conversation. I learned a lot. I've got some interesting topics coming up for videos. One of the things we did talk about is rust. And, you know, I was told flat out after looking at some pictures, this is unusual. This is a paint defect. There is no way that a 1.5-year-old Yoder, 20-month-old Yoder should have as much rust as this guy does. I've got a lot of peeling on the sides, places that are protected that, you know, there's just no way that there should be there. So when you're looking at this, take that for what it's worth, but I want to kind of give you some education while we're down here. What happens here, as you have barbecue sauces or sprays that have acids and sugars, you've got meat juices as you're pulling your meat off the grill, because there's a gap between that shelf, things pour down here. Now, if you take a citrus-based cleaner or a natural-based cleaner like this and give these a wipe down, this will not happen. You will get a little bit over time, but not nearly this much. And you can just, if you just keep this clean, it will go a long ways. So do that. If you haven't cleaned this in a while, take your shelf off and do that. In addition, they really recommend getting that. They've got a stainless steel sleeve that goes over the front, and it helps dramatically. On top of that, I found out about this product. It's called ACF 50. Now this is the spray-on product. They make it in an aerosol product. Unfortunately, it was back ordered in aerosol, so I couldn't get it. They'd recommend getting the aerosol. Either way is good. This product, if you have a clean, prepped surface, it's all been cleaned, there's no rust on it, and you spray this a couple times a year, it almost eliminates the rust problem altogether. Yoder has a very big market in Australia, that intense sun on it. This has helped prevent fading and all kinds of crazy things. So I'm going to do a dedicated video on this. Yoder is actually sending me a new unit because they said the rust issue is definitely, it's an effective paint job. So as part of that, we're going to be able to do an unboxing. I'm going to do a full burn-in seasoning video, and I'm going to go over this in detail. But the short answer is a little dab will do you. You spray this on, you wipe it off. It will dull down the paint a little bit, but it almost eliminates the rust issue. So if you've got a little bit of rust now, take a wire brush to it, use the Yoder paint and get rid of the rust, and then spray this off, and it's really going to go a long way. But again, we're going to do a full video on that. While I'm down here, I just want to wipe this off real quick. You know, I don't want to give it all away, but we're going to talk about temperature fluctuations coming up. We're going to talk about seasoning. We're going to talk about rust. There's a lot of great videos coming up. You know, I learned a lot. I talked to the vice president of Yoder for about an hour and a half, so it was a very good conversation, and it was enlightening. So want to be able to share some of that with you. So now that we've got the main unit done, the front of it, we're going to do the hopper. I'm going to take the side tray off and just wipe down the side of it. We're going to do the hopper, and then I'm going to take a hose and just spray it all down. The bottom shelf is all dusty. This is my spring cleaning, even though it's already into June and we're getting into summer here. But we're going to wipe it down real quick and just continue with the job here. Oh. Now remember, you've got electronics here, we've got some venting here, we've got a fan on this side and another vent. Don't be spraying water directly into there. Now the one thing we didn't talk about yet is this little guy here. All right, so on the back corner here, we've got a bucket. You can leave the bucket as it is, or in my case, I've got some Traeger disposable cups. This one needs to be changed, but it just, all the grease kind of comes down the slope of the diffuser panel there and drips right in here, and you just kind of throw this out. Don't forget to do that while you're working on this. Now we've got all this done. After filming, we're gonna peel back the umbrella, let the sun do his job. For now, let's put the trays back on. Now for this, we're going to break out our ZEP 505. We're going to give it a nice spray. If you've got any grease on there that's a little stubborn, just let it soak. Let that get into it. It'll break it down. It's pretty amazing stuff. Now if you want to take it a step further, if you've got some grunge, maybe a little bit of rust or anything like that on there, you can get a product called Barkeeper's Friend. It's a white powder. Get it from Home Depot, Amazon. I'll put a link down below for that as well. It's great on stainless steel. For your grills and whatnot, go the direction of the stainless steel. But for your pots and pans, it's amazing. I have all stainless steel pots and pans. They're like 8 years old. They look like brand new. Even some of the scratching inside, that white powder will help polish some of that out, and it'll take your pots and pans that are stainless and get them looking like new. Works really well. But in my case, we're pretty clean. We're going to break out our Sheila Shine. This is like WD-40. Little dab will do you. Don't use a lot of it because you'll just be wiping it around. Again, it's got some oil in it, so you definitely don't need too much. And it just puts a protective coating on it. It also, you can't tell in the shade here, but it puts a really nice shine on it. I guess that's why they put it in the name. But that's that. We now have a clean grill. So, again, this is not something that you have to go through every couple of months. This is probably like your spring cleaning thing. You can just dump your pellet ash out inside and then remove the diffuser panel and maybe once a month vacuum it out and you'll be good. This is just something to get the year started right, even though it's June, we're a little bit behind. Now we're gonna get ready to season it. Appreciate you watching. If you liked what you saw today, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We're doing lots of videos coming up. Got lots of just information on the Yoder, some more information on the Kamado. Of course, we're going to be doing some cooking, but I am trying to do some educational videos as well. So if you like to learn, want to step up your game a little bit, I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. I'm doing new videos every weekend. I'll see you soon.